The cost of living crisis is obviously tough for everyone. Everything's a lot more expensive.
We may need to make cuts in certain areas to be able to keep our football club sustainable.
It does have an impact on certain budgets and departments are not going to be as strong as they was in previous years.
The cost of living crisis is affecting households and businesses across the world, with football also feeling its fair share of the pinch. This programme explores the lives of those dealing with the full brunt of the crisis in non-league football and how their clubs and lives have adapted to cope with the current financial climate.
My name is Harrison Bruton. I'm 20 years old. I work part-time with Champion Sports and I'm a goalkeeper at Weymouth Football Club, currently on dual registration to Stoneham.
Goalkeeper Harrison works for coaching and education setup Champion Sports Group. Like any young player, Harrison has a dream of reaching as high as he can up the footballing pyramid. But with the current crisis, Harrison has to keep his work ethic high in order to earn the money to help him build for his future.
I did 2 years as one of the first Champion Academy students. Loved it. Not only got the qualifications that they offer, but coaching qualifications as well, personal training qualifications, loads of other things that were really useful. The cost of living crisis is obviously tough for everyone, not just footballers, but in terms of footballers that, you know, their sole finances might not be sufficient enough to live on, and you have to go out and get another job. Ultimately, that's going to have some sort of effect on your football development, because you're not going to have as much time as you maybe want to make meals, to do certain recovery techniques, to go and play football every day. So for me, I guess routine is so important in terms of, you know, preparing my meals, getting enough sleep so that I can get up early, you know, before I start work and everything, and get down the gym and do what I need to do, and just finding little windows where, you know, I can gain that extra 1 or 2% over people that might not be doing that.
It's Monday afternoon and Harrison prepares to lead his usual coaching session. With inflation causing havoc on everyday bills, Harrison knows just how important it is to keep his eye on the ball and work hard outside of his playing career.
I'm at that age now where I have got to get that balance, but I'm sort of enjoying it, and wherever I can, I'm just looking to better myself as a person and as a footballer, and go from there, really, see where it takes me.
Just to let you know, if you do lose this, you are doing the forfeit.
Why?
Because I said. Let's go! Oh my Curtis, I don't know about that one. One for him.
I'm not a huge believer in luck. I sort of think you make your own luck. So I was never in an academy as a lad. I wasn't at sport the most technically gifted person. I've always been more academic, but it's something that I've enjoyed, and so it's something I've tried to pursue. So I'm never gonna feel a little bit hard done by. I'm working harder to be better than I am, and at times, you know, you might feel a little bit disappointed that you're not in the positions where you dreamed of being, but I think as you sort of grow older, reality hits you a little bit, and when it does, it makes you appreciate sort of how far you've come, but also how far's left to go. I think you try and pursue a route in football, you get a payment from a club, and that's it. There's no other financial support that will back that. You're almost taken not as seriously if you're not at that elite level where clubs can pay you £500-600 a week just for you to, you know, pay your expenses, pay your accommodation, get food, etc. So I think that's something that's missing maybe in football, but you know, you can say that and then you can start saying that about other sports, and next thing you know, the government's throwing out money to everyone. So it's a tough one, but I think in terms of financial support, there isn't too much, you know, for someone of my age that is in sport compared to someone of my age that might be at a university. However, at the same time, you know, you're being paid to do a job. Clubs are supporting you. They are helping financially. You know, there's other bonuses you get that come with it. So obviously healthcare, things like that as well. So you know, it's a tough one, but that there could be more financial support in some way. I think for sure, yeah. I've been with my girlfriend a long time, and I must say, in terms of finances, I'm not the most savvy with money. I often spend my money on things that I probably don't need to. I wouldn't say I'm amazing at saving, but I would say she's very good. So 5 years' time, I definitely think if we are together, you know, a house would be something I could see. In terms of work in 5 years, it's not something I'm too worried about, because I almost feel whatever I'm doing, where it is, I'll do it quite well. I think the main one is football in 5 years' time. It's always a hard one to close your eyes and think about. But the main thing is that wherever I am, I'm enjoying it, because as soon as that enjoyment goes, then I might as well stop playing. And I've unfortunately learnt the hard way that, you know, football is a game to be played, not a game to sit on the bench and watch. So, you know, I've spent a few years learning my trade, getting some experience, but ultimately now, to keep enjoying it, I just need to keep playing. Obviously, there's so many options with football. You can go and play abroad, which is something that has appealed to me massively. You know, you can do all sorts with it. So that might be a route I look at as well. Obviously, moving away from the country, I know that there's a lot more financial support in other countries, particularly America and Scandinavia. Out that way, so that might be a route I look at as well, and it's something I've spoke to my girlfriend about. She's very supportive of. She'd be more than happy to move away with me and do what she's doing online. So that's definitely a route, and in terms of the next 5 years, maybe even a route for the next 5 years as well. But like I said, the main thing would be just enjoying it, and in terms of work, I think wherever I am in the next 5 years, I'll relish and enjoy whatever work I'm doing.
He steps up, here he goes. And it's over the bar again! Weymouth are in the National League for the first time since 2009!
Weymouth Football Club achieved back-to-back promotions to the National League in 2020 after 11 years away. But after 2 struggling seasons, they're back in the National League South. They've incurred a heavy price too, with the club at the start of the season reporting debts of up to £112,000, with the overall loss at around £291,112, according to Companies House. Now the board of directors work hard behind the scenes to not only clear the debt, but to navigate through this cost of living crisis.
Hi, I'm Paul Maitland, CEO of Weymouth Football Club. For us as a football club, we rely a huge amount on donations into the football club through various different guises of do bingo and meat draws and Christmas raffles and News Days raffles and player sponsorship and match day sponsorship. All the sorts of things that most clubs do, but you massively rely on them because we don't have one single owner that funds the football club. It's we attempt to be a community-run club, but effectively we're run or owned by, I think, nearly 1,000 shareholders who may hold £500 worth of shares, up to some owning, you know, vaster sums such as £10,000. But so you are always reliant on the goodwill of your supporters and your sponsors to help fund us. I've spoken to a few clubs now where they've tried to bring their kick-offs earlier on a Saturday to avoid having to use floodlights, try to minimise the amount of travel that they're doing, or look at different ways of travelling, whether that may be on the train rather than the coach, or whether it's cheaper to hire people carriers again rather than the coach, because obviously fuel's gone through the roof as well. So the effects there for everybody. I don't feel yet that we felt a pinch in our match day gates. Now that we're back in, we are averaging around the 800 mark, which is where we expected to be for this season. Whether that continues as we go into the winter now and everybody's heating bill goes up, on electricity bills go up. Whether that remains the same, we're yet to see. But we always have to be very aware of the potential that we may need to make cuts in certain areas to be able to keep our football club sustainable, because that is what we are. We have to be a sustainable club over everything else to ensure that we're here for next season. Money is generally tighter for people now, so your sponsorship is harder to obtain. We've had to reflect that in some of our pricing for this season to ensure that we have sold all of our sponsorship packages and to make it affordable for people, because at the end of the day we have a football club, or we put football on for the entertainment of people. We're very mindful of what we spend, and we spend every pound like it's our last pound. And I think as custodians of the club, myself and my fellow board members and finance committee, we're very aware of how we spend that money. And non-league football, and I'll be amazed if you can find another non-league football club that wouldn't agree with this. Non-league football is nothing without its fans, its volunteers, and its donors as well, financial donors. And a lot of those people generally are people that have an affinity to the football club. We certainly have some people here that are not necessarily at the forefront of everything we do, but I've always been good enough to help support the club financially in times of need. But nothing can beat your hardcore fans that support everything, and whether that's a match day or a fans forum or a club event, a horse race night, anything like that, you're so reliant on those people. But it's really important you don't take them for granted as well. Obviously our problems from this summer have been well documented. For me, in the role that I'm sitting, I would like us to be financially secure. It's not about making a profit per se, but it's making sure that we can maintain and improve what we've got. Half of our fans are content to stay where we are, and the other half are ambitious and would like to, having had a taste of the National League, would very much like to go back there, and don't see why we shouldn't aim for that. I probably sit in the middle of that. I'd love us to go back to the National League, but I also don't want to have the same financial problems that we had in the summer, where we were really struggling to pay our bills. So it's finding something over the next year, couple of years, that allows us to generate more money. And again, you put events on and you do your fundraising. It's generally the same people that support those, which are fantastic, and they're very loyal supporters, but they'll support most things that you do. And my door's always open to the players. I'm happy to talk to them about things, but it's making good decisions with money. Do you need a brand new car? Do you need to spend a lot of money on finance to obtain that? Do you need the latest pair of jeans, or I don't know, the latest phone, gadget, whatever it is? Some of them, that's important. Fundamentally, you have to trust them with their own money. So in 5 years, I'd like us to be back in the National League. I'd like us to be sustainable to do it. But I know to do that, we've got to find ways and means of generating more income. The same as most clubs, because the cost of living this is probably here for a while. I don't think any of us can be really sure how long it will last. But it just, for me, it sharpens the mind, and it needs to sharpen the minds of my colleagues, and as to how we make sure that we maintain short term, improve, and eventually promotion again. So whilst making sure that we have the funds to do it and the capabilities of doing it.
Boreham Wood Football Club, an established National League side with huge ambitions. FA Cup success in recent years have springboarded the Wood into the echelons of a future Football League side. But with the cost of living crisis, the club have had to act sharply to keep their trajectory intact.
I am Billy Hunter. My job here is the club secretary, so I take care of all the administration for the first team and also the operations executive, so a lot of the day-to-day organisation running in different departments and everything along those lines. I know that the chairman does a lot of work in dealing with making sure that we've got sustainable income streams that are coming in, making sure that our overheads don't exceed anything that's coming in, and then anything else that comes in above that is kind of a bonus. COVID come really quickly and it come out of nowhere, and then there was a lot of things that you didn't know where you was turning with it. With the cost of living crisis and everything, that's come up kind of gradually, and there's been little indicators to say that, you know, to show that we're going into kind of a tough financial period. And luckily, I think sometimes it comes down to, you know, the people that are in charge as well. You know, to be able to actually see danger and see when things are coming that are going to be quite difficult to deal with. I think we've been lucky in that sense, but then it does have an impact on, certain budgets in departments are not going to be as strong as they was in previous years, and then trying to manage that to still keep the same operational level on a limited budget, balancing that off, that's quite a hard thing to do. I think coming into the cost of living crisis now, the amount of support out there isn't as much as it was. But I think, do you know what? I'm not an expert on government and budgets and everything like that, but I see it as, I know during COVID there was a lot of support that was given, and now we're coming into cost of living crisis. I think there's only so much that we can look to governments and things like that to kind of, keep us propped up. I think it's then back over to the businesses to make sure that they can remain solvent, and then it's working their budgets in the best way possible and knowing that they're not overspending. We put more investment into making sure that they've got food at a discounted rate that's available to them. It'll be less than going to Tesco's and getting a meal deal. We try and give that as much financial support as possible, because these lads that are coming in for the academy, they don't get a wage, they're coming in trying to do their education and then get a start in life, so we try and give them as much support as we can on that side of it. So with the first team, they do get some support as much as we can, because we like to be able to support people, but the main investment goes into the academy, 100%. All the rates and everything are going up, gas and electric and everything along those lines, so it's making sure that we're not leaving heaters on in classrooms and in other areas of the club. We're turning lights off, we're looking at what we're spending, so there could be items that we need to order in for, it could be medical supplies, it could be training equipment, all these things that need to be replenished, so we just make sure that we've got the, we're going out and we're looking to get the best value possible. Within the top 10 teams in the table, if you look at it like that, we're probably the lowest supported club, but obviously we're fighting at the right end of the table, which means we're doing something right. You sympathise that it's a tough time for everyone. You just got to make the best of it, make the best decisions you can financially, and make sure that it's viable. And at the moment, we've done pretty well. It doesn't mean in 3 months' time we could go on a really bad run and we can end up dropping down the table. So yeah, I think there's always sympathy everywhere, for clubs to know that it's an understanding. It's a difficult time for everyone.
Non-league football is constantly adapting to the change in the financial world. Clubs and players have had to be cautious in spending, whilst relying on fans and shareholders to help prop up the accounts. For some, it will be a long road ahead, but with the right sustainable measures going forward, non-league football can prosper once again.